And Booth, we are good to go. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, March 16th, 2026 meeting of the Lunenburg Planning Board. We normally, on our usual cadence, would have met last week, but last week was also town caucus. And there are years that we kind of overlap with that, and this year we didn't because you're going to not have a quorum of the board due to obligations there. We are here at the beautiful Bellotta Meeting Room here at Historic Town Hall. Wonder how many more adjectives I can work in there. If you are watching us at home and you want to participate, you can either join us by Zoom, and you can do that by going to the town website, getting the agenda for this meeting, and that will give you the link to the Zoom. Or you are welcome to drive down here to Town Hall and join us in person. This meeting is being recorded as Zoom dutifully told us earlier, and I believe that's all we need tonight. Okay, so we will open up with, is there any board comment to open the meeting? That's easy. We will then look for the director's report.
Director's report. Well, we've made some progress on the RFP for the 925 Massachusetts Avenue gas station. We've received some MRPC's brownfield funding to have the Beta Group put together a recommended cleanup option, a ballpark cost estimate, a ballpark time frame for the cleanup, and a list of funding sources that we can put in the request for proposals. That work should be done by the first week of April, and we're hoping the RFP will go out the door by the end of April. Other than that, I'm forgetting something, but please proceed.
All right, and just for the edification of the board and the public at large as well, I mean, that's the old gas station that hasn't been a gas station for about 6.5 million years downtown. We, as a board, saw that a couple years ago with a set of proposals that were brought to us by consultants. It wasn't actually a site plan or anything like that. It was a, hey, here's some ideas of how that property might be able to be used. When we were talking about it then, we were under the impression as a board, or at least seemed to be, I was, that the cleanup at that site was complete or on the road to being complete. As Mr. Wallace has indicated, there's still some brownfields work to be done in evaluating and everything else, but that's all part of the RFP process right now. To get that, hopefully, eventually off the town ownership list. Okay. Well, I think we can move on. We have 2 A&Rs tonight, and we'll open with those. And we will begin with the one that was supposed to be at our February 23rd meeting that was snowed out. That one is continued, thank you. For 0 Reservoir Road.
No, it's continued with our letter.
I didn't hear you. So,
We need another letter of continuance.
got it, sorry about that.
Oh, we're not, okay.
Okay,
That'll be the same for the stormwater permit and the shared driveway.
got it,
Now
thank you.
they're thinking of, what are they thinking of, going with individual driveways?
Okay, that, I get it, yeah, because we identified that issue in the bylaw for common driveways, that makes sense. In that case, 10 Parmenter Road will be our one A&R for tonight. And for those playing our home game, that is project ANR-26-3 on the OpenGov platform.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members. I'm Ryan Proctor with Dillis and Roy, here tonight representing the applicant. This project was before your board about a month ago. Greg Roy was here presenting this project, which at the time consisted of the creation of approximately 35 building lots. There were some questions at that meeting of the viability of Fire Road 15 as usable frontage for the creation of A&R lots. So at this time, the lots that were previously proposed with frontage on Fire Road 15 have been removed and consolidated into one, Lot 25. And the remaining lots have remained unchanged with the exception of lots 1 through 5 on the corner of Ruth Street. I'll just point very quickly, which have been shifted to the west to allow for adequate access off of Ruth Street. All other parcels meet the required minimum frontage and lot area. If there's any questions, I would be happy to take them.
Can I go ahead and ask?
Yes, please.
I see that you filed half a dozen applications today for stormwater permits.
Not me personally, but that does sound right. Yeah, someone from my
Okay,
office.
were
did.
they for stormwater permits and shared driveways?
I know there's a combination that are coming in. I frankly am not certain which lots were applied for today.
Okay,
Okay, do you know if you'll be filing more?
That's very likely. Yes, I think we will be.
Okay.
Okay.
I would
I would like
like
to
ship
ship
them off
to our
consulting
engineer, Graves Engineering,
Okay.
but I'd
but I'd rather do it all at once.
So if you
So if you can give me an indication as to when you'll make a full filing for all of those.
Okay. I can look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Does it make more sense for one stormwater permit to be filed for all of the lots together? And that way, as a board, we can talk about limiting clearing and disturbed area at a single time?
The drainage report, and correct me if I'm wrong, covers the entire project,
Okay.
but the
The
stormwater permits
are for individual lots.
So if
So if
you
want to
see if your
see if your question still,
It does in a little,
because if we have
25
25
permits,
permits,
then
then
each permit
each
could
permit could
theoretically
theoretically
be
be
active at the same time. And that
entire lot
would
can be cleared in one swoop.
And if
And
we
if we
get,
get,
again,
again,
the
the
higher
higher
intensity
intensity
storms that we've been getting more and more regularly, my
my
concern
concern
for
for
the
the
impact
impact
becomes greater.
greater.
board
board members,
your
is that the consensus?
I myself prefer to look at a holistic project rather than the individual pieces, because it helps me track everything. If there's a demonstrated need and benefit of doing it differently, I'm open, but I like to be able to look at everything at once myself.
Yeah, I'm happy to weigh in on that also. So I think from a construction standpoint, I remember this came up on a previous project a few years ago, but during the closeout process, I think in some cases it can be simpler where you don't have an application that's tied to multiple lots. If one lot completes your stormwater or a set of lots in the case of a shared driveway or something, sometimes it can be simpler rather than having to look at the whole project as a whole when you can look at one lot on a case-by-case basis.
That's what I was wondering about that. Is there a mechanism by which we can, even if we're looking at them holistically, still free up lots more individually, or is that not accomplishable? Or is that not something that's likely to actually come up?
I guess my recommendation would be from my perspective, would be to phase it and have, whether it's 10 or 8 phases that encompass portions of the lot and be able to close out phase at a time, as opposed to a series of individual permits, and that way, everything, the whole project is tied to one, because the disturbance is all tied together as one development, even if they're all individual lots. I imagine you're not selling the lots individually, it'll be one contractor working through the project.
That would be my assumption, but I can't speak to that right
and I
now,
don't,
yeah.
and I mean, we're way out of the A&R bound.
You're right.
That's,
So with 25 lots, maybe you could break it into like 4 different applications and group them together.
We can take a look at that. Yeah, I know they will be segmented with the shared driveway applications, like you mentioned, so there will be some distribution. It won't be 25 stormwater permit applications, but I understand your point, so.
And I mean, I don't want to make it difficult, but I also want we've had issues over the years with control of larger projects, especially A&R specific projects.
Understood.
And I want to make sure we can get a hold of it.
Well, Graves would be reviewing the stormwater report, which covers the entire project, plus each individual stormwater permit application.
It's just, I think, harder to condition limit of disturbance if it's, if it were 4 projects, that's a little bit easier because we can do it per project.
Can you talk to your client about that?
We can.
Great.
Thank you.
So, pulling back, I mean, that is a useful discussion. It's not the A&R at hand, but still business that needs to happen regarding this project. Looking at the A&R, so what is, as I'm looking at the plan again, could you summarize the overall change that I'm looking at to make sure I understand it correctly?
Gladly. So if you can see this lower plan here, I think it's sheet 3.
No. So, no, just the table's in my way.
So the most notable change, Fire Road 15 bisects a portion of the property. Originally, a month ago, there were 10 A&R lots with frontage off of Fire Road 15, which we had discussions, or Greg had discussions with your board about the viability of that. So at this time, those lots have been removed, and Lot 25 is sort of that remaining piece that is bisected by Fire Road 15. And we understand if we were to propose something in the future, that Fire Road 15 would have to be improved at that time.
Okay. And and lot 25 does have frontage on Round Road, it looks like?
It does, correct.
Okay. Now, I have another question. I haven't been out to the site in a couple months. Round Road and Parmenter are both standard, like, everyday paved roads, correct? Do you remember that correctly? Or am I mistaken?
I think Round sort of tapers off from paved to graded base as you get to the southern portion of it, but it's a public road.
Okay, that's really what I meant. And what is the status of Ruth Street's also a public road? Okay. What is the plan for, I know there's that kind of cul-de-sac at the end of Ruth that
Yes.
is not there, that is on the plan, but not there in person. Is that being used for front, it looks like that's being used as frontage for at least Lot 1. Do I see that correctly?
Correct.
And does that need to be built out before we could okay an A&R for that? I don't remember the,
Is it part of an approved subdivision?
I don't think so.
It's
I know of.
likely a public way that existed prior to subdivision control.
Yeah. I mean, that's my only concern there, is I didn't reread my notes from the other time before this meeting, so I don't remember off the top of my head the exact rules regarding that. But I'll turn to other members of the board. I don't mean to monopolize our time by any means.
I know when you were in front of us last, I had some questions about the slope along Round Road and the ability to make the 12% maximum grade for driveways along that portion,
Yes,
and you have the ability to do that.
we do. Those are a handful of the applications that we're working through right now, so you will see those at some point.
And there was no Board of Health compliance letter attached to the application. Has there been any soil testing for septics?
There has.
There has.
Yes.
And no issues?
No issues. Yeah, we derive the lots based on the testing.
Okay.
You had that as well for the various lots that made up Lot 25 at one point.
We had.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Has there been any conversation with the DPW about the completion of the cul-de-sac?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay, so I think before I could be comfy with this, I do need that question, I think I need that question answered of, does that cul-de-sac need to be real before we can approve the A and R? Because my understanding is the A and R is based on current real lay of the land, not proposed after work. And I'm open to being told I'm incorrect on that.
So the frontage is there. You're talking about the road being completed?
Yeah, because the frontage has to be on an appropriately accessible road, whatever the legal terminology is, right?
Yep.
Has to be on a road that can actually be that. And that cul-de-sac, to at least some, oh, that cul-de-sac doesn't exist right now. That's right, because the road continues on otherwise.
Correct.
Can you point to the area that you're?
Yes, I can. So, right, I can bring it over here for ease. And Ruth Street continues up this way. Or I don't know if that is Ruth Street there, but kind of continues up and northeast, east by northeast and then north. This cul-de-sac at the end of Ruth Street there doesn't exist currently, and you can see the little wetlands demarcation on the map. And so that isn't part of the existing road at this time. That's my understanding. Does that match your understanding as well?
Your description of the land does. If it helps with this tonight, the intent is to convey Lot 1 to the abutting property to the north. I don't know if that helps clarify the intent of that creation, but the intent is to convey that Lot 1 to the
Is there a
property.
note
to
on the
north.
A and R plan indicating that?
Not at this time, not currently, no.
The property to the north,
Yeah. The Perkins Revocable Trust property.
okay, Perkins Revocable Trust, all right. My question with that is purely technical. Can we, is with intent to convey enough? Or do we actually?
I would want to see it on the plan if that was.
That was
the
what-
intent.
Yeah,
Because that gets us out of the necessity for frontage, because it's creating a parcel and not a lot, and that parcel is to be conveyed to an abutter.
I see Lot 2 does have frontage, I can't,
It does, yeah. So the existing cart path is shown on the plan. That cuts through the frontage of Lot 2. So the intention would be to
Yeah.
utilize that in some manner.
but Lot 2 does have frontage
Oh, it
on
does.
Ruth Street.
It does.
So, as existing, I believe.
Yes.
Is it, hi, sorry, this is Ally from Benjamin Builders. Is it possible to speak on the road?
So the planning board is not obligated to take public comment.
No, the applicants.
What's that?
She's an applicant.
Okay, oh, then yes, by all means.
Yeah, sorry,
But I was
I'm
also
home
gonna say
with
is, in general, we try to be open about public comment on things that are on our agenda. And as a reminder to the public, if you want to speak to us in public comment about something that isn't on the agenda, reach out to the office and let us know, and I can find a way generally to get it on the agenda in an appropriate way. So, by all means, please.
Great, thank you, sorry, I just wanted to, because I know we kind
Oh,
of.
I apologize. The volume isn't great coming off the connection in the back of the room. Booth, could we increase that volume some, please? You can go ahead and try again.
Great, can you hear me now?
Beautiful.
Love it.
Okay, perfect. Sorry to not be present. I'm just home with the baby. So I just wanted to talk about the frontage with the cul-de-sac. Because that is the legal right of way, I guess I'm concerned why we can't use it as legal frontage, because that is where the road should have been installed by the town. That is the legal taking. That is what's recorded. That's what the plan has been recorded. So as far as the legal roadway and legal frontage is concerned, that is existing. Whether the town finished it correctly or not, I think
I
it's.
don't know that the town is the one who constructed this road. And per our bylaws, you need to have access to the buildable portion of the lot through the frontage. And you don't have that without crossing, I believe, somebody else's property.
No, I believe so the cul-de-sac itself is on our property, and that abuts the actual roadway that is constructed.
I guess what we're saying, though, is at the end of the day, ultimately, that lot is being conveyed to an abutter, so it can be considered a parcel, but it being labeled as a lot is presenting a challenge.
But they would have access to the public way through that portion of the lot. They wouldn't have to bypass anybody else's land. Lot 1, I'm saying, not Lot 2. So they should be able to have a buildable lot, even with it not fully constructed, because that is what the legal right-of-way stands as of right now.
I am looking through my note, because I had some notes on this when I met with town council a couple months ago. Let me see if I can just search quickly. Because my understanding is that it's not just on, that for us to approve the A&R, it needs to be on the road itself, not on the theoretical road that exists on a plan and could have been built.
Real access.
Real access, thank you. And if you want to try, feel free. You can talk over me at any point, because you're the actual expert and I'm the pretty one. So we don't have the real access on that piece. Now, and I want to check my notes. I can't find it easily now. I could have that conversation another time as well, but.
I think the note of conveyance might get us out of this particular cul-de-sac we're in.
Yeah, so that was going to be my follow-up question. If we were to add a note to the plan that says to be conveyed to an abutter or not a viable building lot at this time,
100% done.
okay. Would the board be comfortable including that, rather than us coming back in 2 weeks, just adding the note, potentially voting to approve the A&R with these lots, provided that we provide an updated plan with that note on there?
Well, you can come
Back next week, we're meeting.
23rd.
Next week, okay.
Yeah.
And now if we need to convey that as a buildable lot, that's my concern, because that technically does have frontage by the legal right-of-way. I know that whether it exists or not, I can talk to the parties involved with that, but my concern is if it gets marked not buildable, but then if something is improved in the future, what the legal ramifications are of that.
You're not selling this as a non-buildable lot, you're selling this as a parcel to be conveyed to Lot 28. Lot 28 appears to be a conforming lot, so if that is in fact, in the future, a conforming lot, then you have enough area frontage, in theory, to create a new buildable lot.
Okay.
All right, so I'm a little lost on what we're discussing as a possibility for tonight. Are we entertaining the notion of, I don't know how we can add a note that isn't on the plan that's binding.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, you can, if the note indicates that there's, that a particular lot is going to be conveyed to an abutter, as long as that's clearly stated as a note on the plan, you're good to go.
And conveying that to the abutter would would give it the requisite.
You're adding land to an already existing lot.
That was my understanding. Okay, great.
Question for the board, do you endorse A&R plans at your meetings, or do you come in and sign them, come into the office and sign them?
Yeah,
A little bit of both?
Well, yeah.
we'll often endorse, if we can get a Sharpie on the Mylar at the meeting, so much the better. If we can't, we can't. All right, I look for other thoughts from the board.
Continue them for
Okay,
meeting.
all right. Do we need a motion to continue it? Because it's not a public hearing, I don't know how that works. Oh. I saw a
just
hand being
engaging.
raised at the corner of my eye.
Well, better safe than sorry, but
Right.
it isn't an actual hearing, so.
I would look for something, and can you make our meeting in 1 week?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, I would look for a motion such as to,
Continue the matter till next hearing.
which is on the 23rd of March, 2026.
I move we continue the A&R plan for 0 Parmenter Road to 23 March 2026.
Would you amend that for 10 Parmenter Road?
I'm sorry, for 10 Parmenter Road. Yes, so amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We don't have to roll call. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you in a week.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Great, everybody. And next up we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 5 public hearings tonight. Let's rock and roll.
Lee had a point.
30
Summer Street also sent in a letter of continuance this afternoon.
Good news. We have 4 public hearings tonight, getting better every moment.
Do you have the printed copy of the legal ads? Just because my computer keeps restarting, so if I have to read it.
These things are crashing, attempting to access OpenGov right now.
We did not sacrifice enough to the computer gods before we came. We did not.
Time to go pick up some hard drives and start smashing.
Do we have the printed copies of the legal ads here? Or
No, but I can email it to her.
what's that?
Do you have your email?
Do you have my what?
Oh, I can,
We will in a moment.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
I have that.
I have that printer.
Can we go ahead and continue the 2 that are asking to be continued, just to move those off?
Yeah, let's, that would be,
0 Reservoir Road and 30 Water, Summer Street.
do they both want to be continued to our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
No, No, the 13th, April 13th.
Oh, to April
Oh,
13th.
both of them?
Both of them.
Okay.
I move that we continue Zero Reservoir Road, ANR 26-2, PBSW 25-5, and PBSP 25-10 to the 13 April 2026 meeting.
Don't we have a continuance for 860 New West Townsend Road as well?
Well, so that
Oh,
was.
no, we're waiting for a Graves review, I'm sorry.
That was Zero Reservoir.
That was a motion for one of, that's fine, I just want to make sure.
Correct. I
Okay,
figured we'd
right.
just do them individually.
I'm fine with that. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Did you need to specify the time, 6:05 for the continuance, or no?
Sure, 6:05.
Okay.
So amended.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I move that we continue the project for 30 Summer Street, PBSA 25-8, PBSP 25-9, and PBSW 25-6 to 13 April 2026 at 6:06 PM.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And are we continuing one more?
No.
No, okay. All right, Shirley Road.
I'm trying to print.
I might be able to hop into OpenGov in the meantime, and
Which one are we looking for?
Shirley Road, 475
475
Shirley Road.
Shirley Road?
Yes.
Just right.
I've got it open, don't worry about it.
what's that? You said you have it?
I have all the stuff open.
Okay.
Do you want to read it off my
You have some
computer?
in
I
here.
can, yeah. Or either way.
I don't want to take that away from you.
Oh,
Amanda,
thank
thank
you. Okay. Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing on February 23rd, 2026, moved to March 16th, 2026, at 6:05 PM, Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Mass., to hear and review applications for modification to site plan approval pursuant to 250-8.4 and 250-4.13B.C.2 of the Code of the Town of Lunenburg by Brandon Smith on behalf of applicant for an installation solar on rooftop, convert 9 trailer parking spots into battery and equipment area. Subject property information, the location is 475 Leominster Shirley Road, Assessors Map 142 and 143, parcel numbers 006 and 007. Owner is BP Lunenburg Central Fee Owner LLC, Broadway, 111 Oakland, California, 94607. You can view materials online at lunenburgma.portal.opengov.com/search with record ID PMOD-25-3 via an email request to the planning office, planning@lunenburgma.gov, or in person at the planning office at 960 Mass Avenue in Lunenburg. Thank you.
She brought you the next.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
Very well done. For the record, Bill Hannigan with Hannigan Engineering. This is kind of a follow-up to the site plan reviews and stormwater permit that we received for the building construction at 475 Leominster Shirley Road. That construction is completed. They're in the process of fitting up for tenants entering into the building. And at this point, they're looking to add a rooftop solar component to the building itself. Here from New Leaf Energy, Brandon Smith, Eric Weinstein, and Mike Conway are here. What we're here for is basically to kind of give the general lay of the land with what we've done in the past and what they're proposing now. If you look at the diagram, you can see the red overlay of the rooftop solar, which is, utilizing about half of the building site. In the back, there is a series of excess trailer storage locations that we had for trailer storage. They're going to occupy, I believe it's about 7 of those trailer storage areas with a battery system for battery backup, not backup, but battery storage for the energy grid. That will basically be fed by the solar system, and then the red line coming around the route will be on the outside of the other trailer storage areas from north to south, and then connect to a series of overhead utility poles to go from the corner of the parking lot out to the Unitil power on the opposite side of the street. The first section of pole from the Unitil pole onto the property will be overhead. The next section will be underground because of the existing electrical overhead lines that feed Keating, and then the other ones will be overhead to the final pole right near where it bends, and that would be underground all the way back to the battery system. So from a site plan modification perspective, there's really minimal, if anything, work done on the site relative to the work. We did go to the Conservation Commission and received a negative determination of applicability for the work that we're doing in the buffer zone, so that's been taken care of. And what I could do is have Brendan Smith come up and kind of go over the actual components of the solar system so you can actually take a look at it. Not the solar system, but the solar system.
I'm Brandon Smith from New Leaf Energy. So I'll just go over a little bit more detail of what we're proposing. First, I do want to back up a bit and just mention that we did submit a determination or a zoning determination to the building department back in November, and received a determination that the rooftop solar with battery storage as an accessory is by right in this zone. So we will be submitting a building permit for those pieces. But as Bill mentioned, we're here in front of the board here for the modification to the site plan approval, which was also noted in that zoning determination. And as far as what we're proposing here, you'll see obviously the rooftop solar is on approximately half of the building there. It's a ballasted type foundation, so no roof penetrations. We have met with the fire department, and you'll see kind of the access aisles that are included in that array. Conduits will be running to the north, the rear of the building, externally down the rear face of the building. We'll then be trenching underground through the parking lot there to the location of the electrical equipment area, which will be fenced. That will house the typical equipment associated with the solar facility, inverters, transformers, as well as the battery storage system. From there, be underground trenching through the parking lot, or the pavement, I should say, down the west side, adjacent to the pavement where possible, to avoid damaging or having to patch that pavement. And then, as Bill mentioned, right, we have the several Unitil poles on the southwest corner, as well as a customer-owned pole, which will house the required equipment that will be for the solar facility. The remainder of poles will be for Unitil equipment. And yeah, that's, as I mentioned, that's kind of a very high level. We're happy to answer any other questions. We will be submitting all the required material for an actual application for, more in-depth as required in the ordinance for a building permit, likely later this year.
Now, is it because this is an accessory use that it does not trigger our battery energy storage system bylaw? Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. I mean, that matches my understanding as well. I just want to make sure that I'm processing correctly. Okay. I see we have two sets of plans here, one with the battery energy storage system originally to the west.
That, I believe, is probably from the zoning determination when we submitted then. Since then, working with the landowner, we have pushed it to the, further to the north, just for landowner considerations, as Bill mentioned, we're taking up some of the trailer parking, and traffic runs in a counterclockwise location here, and kind of putting it to the north or all the way to that north parking lot, or trailer spaces, just gets it out of the way of any vehicles needing to turn around or back into the warehouse bays.
Is this changing the snow storage, the snow storage for the property? I don't remember the original site plan fully off the top of my head, because it's been a couple of years. But,
I don't know if Bill, you'd be able to answer.
yeah.
The short answer is no. In the snow storage for the property, we had various areas throughout the site, most of it being in the trailer storage areas for snow storage. So that should be sufficient on the west side. On the east side, we had done, I think we looked at it as windrow plowing, which kind of we did this year. I don't think we had any huge snow storage areas in the back of the site that I recall. I didn't see it this year, though. This winter was probably one of the worst we've had in a while, so I'm not sure where they store, but this shouldn't interfere with snow storage on the
Okay.
property. Okay.
All right, questions from the board?
No, I like this location much better than the one to the west.
Yeah, I do as well. I was bringing it up both to make sure we were all looking at the same plans, and as well, when there's a change, I'm curious why. All right, now, this is a public hearing, so we do need well, we don't need public comment, but we do need to solicit public comment. Do we have public comment? No hands on Zoom? All right, no public comment in the room either. Very good. Okay. Now,
You would be, if you agree with the applicant that this is a de minimis change, you are approving a de minimis change to the original site plan decision that you approved on November 22nd, 2021.
all right. Does this meet our stated, we have like a list of the common things. Does this fall within?
It does.
Okay.
I move that we find this a de minimis change.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right.
We do need to vote.
Yes, we need to vote. I was processing if we needed to end the public hearing, then vote, but no, because it's a de minimis.
We need to find its de minimis, and then we need to vote on the change.
But that happens in the public hearing, or do we close it first? I don't know if that matters.
It doesn't.
Okay, great. Wonderful. I love it when things don't matter. All right, moved and seconded for finding this to be a de minimis change. All in favor? Aye. All right, I would look,
Just wanted to say thank you. Appreciate the time.
great. We have to do one more vote for you, but that's okay. I think you can grab it. It's fine. I would look for a motion such as to accept the de minimis change from the last motion.
I move that we approve the de minimis change with the condition that engineered drawings outlining the new location are properly submitted to the the planning office.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Bangarang, you're all set. Thank you. And I guess I would look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Next up would be, that was not Reservoir Road, so,
860 New West Townsend.
oh, okay, we're going up to 860. Next would be 860 New West Townsend Road. Site plan approval. For those playing along at home, that is PBSA 26-1 on OpenGov. We are going to need that public hearing to be opened.
I got it. The Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 16th, 2026 at 6 PM Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Mass. To hear and review applications for a shared driveway special permit, site plan approval, and stormwater management permit pursuant to sections 250-6.4C7 and 250-4.13 of the Code of the Town of Lunenburg by Daniel and Rachel Brackett. Subject property information, the location is 850-860 New West Townsend Road, Lunenburg, Mass. Assessors map parcel number 005-0004. Owner is Daniel and Rachel Brackett. You can view materials online at lunenburgma.portal.opengov.com/search with record IDs PBSP-26-1, PBSW-26-1, and PBSA-26-1 via an email request to the planning office, planning@lunenburgma.gov, or in person at the planning office at 960 Mass Avenue in Lunenburg.
All right, great.
Evening.
Take it away.
Ryan Proctor, Dillis and Roy. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, Dan and Rachel Brackett, who are with us tonight in the audience. As was just read into the record, we are here for 3 permits: a special permit for a common driveway, a stormwater management permit, as well as site plan approval for the project. The site is comprised of the 3 parcels, 850, 852, and 860 New West Townsend Road. Collectively, those are about 31 acres. The proposal that we have before you tonight is the subdivision of those parcels into 4 A&R lots, each of which will contain a townhome consisting of 5 units for a total of 20 units total as part of the project. We had appeared before the Zoning Board of Appeals back in August of 2025 for the proposed use of the townhome on the property, and the ZBA at that time did issue a decision approving the proposed use and granting us that special permit. As was mentioned, and one of the reasons we're here tonight is that the 4 lots will be serviced by a common driveway. The common driveway has been designed to meet all of your requirements as spelled out in the new bylaw. With one exception, it meets it. It actually exceeds the minimum width. One of the conditions of approval at the zoning board was that we provide a 20-foot wide common driveway instead of your minimum 18-foot requirement. So the plans that we have before you tonight reflect that 20-foot width. In all other aspects of the design, the common driveway meets your bylaw with respect to pitch, grade, width, and turnouts on the driveway. Each of the proposed lots will be served by private septic and well. We are also providing there is no municipal water here, so we are also providing a fire cistern, which will be provided next to the turnout, which is located about 950 feet up at the very top of the page there, and that will be the emergency vehicle turnout area as well. For the stormwater management system, we are primarily proposing what we refer to as county drainage, which is the utilization of swales, surface basins to convey and infiltrate and store stormwater associated with the development. With the exception of, we are proposing 4 roof infiltration areas, 1 for each of the buildings. We are proposing those in the front underneath the parking areas, and those would be subsurface.
I'm sorry, for what kind of infiltration areas?
They're subsurface infiltration systems for the roofs.
Okay, right, got it.
One of the proposals that we're proposing for the entrance to the driveway, which we will see as an improvement, for those that are familiar with the road, there is quite a steep slope right off the edge of the pavement, and it does create a bit of a sight distance issue, not for this project in particular, but even for the current users of the road. So as part of the entryway that we're proposing on New West Townsend Road, we are proposing to pull back that slope and remove some of the vegetation, which will help our sight distances comply with the requirements, but it'll also improve the visibility of the users of the road currently. So that is something that we're proposing there. The project is currently also before the Conservation Commission. There is a linear wetland that runs down the top of the property to the north of our site. So we have filed a notice of intent with them. We opened the public hearing 2 weeks ago, and that was continued to April 1st, so we could address some comments from them. And given the time that we filed to tonight's meeting, there was quite some time, so the applicant was proactive in setting up a 53G account to fund a peer review consultant, and I believe those plans have been sent out to the.
Yes, they were sent to Graves. Graves Engineering has not completed their review. I expect it this week. My suggestion is that we let the applicant make their presentation. You folks of the board ask your questions, let the public ask their questions, but then continue them to a later date.
Thank you. Yep, and that's why we're here tonight, certainly to get some feedback. We understand that you'll want to hear from Graves, and we do as well. But if there are any questions or comments that the board may have, we'd be happy to take them.
It's quite likely that once you receive the Graves review sometime this week, that you're going to need some time.
Absolutely.
To
Yep.
address their comments, so.
Understood, completely.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think we have had a townhome project like this in the past, been on the board 6 years, I want to say.
Certainly not of this magnitude.
Yeah, but I don't think, I can't think of a time we've had townhome, we've had duplexes.
Duplexes, yeah.
And we've had like, we've had the how many duplexes can you fit on here through creative lot lines. So I'm not as familiar with the process that leads to where we are now and how it goes from here. So it sounds like that there was, the ZBA was needed for that.
You've approved the use.
And could I ask for the dime store version of, is that townhomes have to go to the ZBA?
Yes.
And was there anything else approved by the ZBA besides, okay, you can do townhomes?
It was just the proposed use. We didn't seek any relief relative to setbacks, lot area, or anything like that. So it's just a special permit for the proposed use.
Okay, you said there was no relief for anything else?
Nope.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, great.
Can we get a copy of the zoning board decision?
Yeah, I was going to say, Lee, can we round up a copy of the zoning board decision and add it to this project file?
And was it shown as 5 lots in this layout to the zoning board?
Well, yes, yeah, it was this same layout. There's 4 lots that we're creating. We are.
Oh, 4, I'm sorry.
Yeah, shifting 1 lot line.
I'm
on
getting the
existing
number of
parcel.
units.
That's okay. When you get 5 lots, it changes things.
Yeah, so
But
my
yes.
question is, why 4 lots and why this driveway configuration and not 1 lot with a singular driveway that gives you a little bit more flexibility? I don't see any comments from the fire department in here, and looking at this plan, I mean, we don't necessarily have a scalable plan.
Yep.
But it looks like you're about 400 feet on that last unit or that last building from the fire turnaround. So if there is an issue and they have to pull a fire truck in there, they're backing it all the way out. And if they need to rotate trucks, it becomes challenging.
Right.
So I don't necessarily have a problem conceptually with the 4 buildings and the 20 units. It's a giant lot up there. It's not really subdivision it's not worth doing a subdivision on because of the shape of it and the narrow throat. I'm worried about the driveway configuration, 5 or 10 years down the line when things start getting a little bit older and we start either having emergency response or other things in the area.
Adam, I can reach out to the fire chief and ask him, are you sure you don't have any comments?
Well, it doesn't look like anybody has approved anything in OpenGov.
I think they're all waiting for the Graves review.
Okay, and that's fair. I just, without feedback, that's my initial comment is, getting in, it probably looks fine. You make that first curve, great. But once you start peeling off to some of the building response, we just did a 5-lot common driveway on a variance. Those were all single-family homes, and that's a little, I wasn't super comfortable with it, but it's 1 unit. There's so much more that can go wrong in a 5-unit building. And I know that they'll all be sprinkled because they have to, because it's more than 3, and it's going to be a full cast iron standpipe system, but once it starts going, I don't want it to be a problem out in the woods.
Understood. And we're happy to set up a meeting with the fire chief and go through those items.
I don't think, this is just the interesting conflux of things we build. I don't think I had ever processed the possibility that our common driveway bylaw could allow one common driveway for 20 units.
You know, you say that, and it might not.
So it does say 4 lots. I did not see any restriction on the number of units.
It's not restricted to units.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, because I did know that, oh, well, we can do duplexes.
Right.
That way. And now with the ADUs, that can become 3 units.
Yeah,
by
I think
right.
the old version of the common driveway said 1 primary dwelling, and so that would cover the 1 ADU with it.
Yeah. I want to say I appreciate the zoning board being thoughtful, yeah, I appreciate the ZBA being thoughtful about driveway width. And proactive about that. I think that was, I'm appreciative for that call from them. Yeah, I'm gonna want to see what peer review says for sure myself.
Of course.
To wrap my mind around this. Other thoughts or questions from the board?
I mean, my thought, going back to my driveway configuration, is if it were 1 lot, that building on the eastmost building, it could just, you could figure a way to create almost a needle eye that comes around, and then you at least have a full circle for a fire truck to turn, and then you would have some of the shorter driveways to get to the actual buildings. It might end up being slightly more impervious, it might calc out about the same. I don't know what that does to your grading or the country drainage you have designed, but it also may provide a smoother circulation pattern.
I will turn to the public. Do we have public comment, either in the room or on Zoom? And again, if you're out there in TV land and participating via Zoom, use that hand raise feature to let us know you want to speak. And if you really can't find hand raise, unmute and say, hey, pay attention to me. And we'll hear you. Seeing no public comment at this time.
I do have one last question. Have you auto-turned this?
We have.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on the last sheet, I think, of the site plans.
I think I'm at the place, I really want to see where Graves comes back. I really want to hear from public safety. And I just don't know enough about how those are going to interplay to know any deeper thoughts or feelings yet.
Under the premise that Graves is going to get the peer review into us this week, would April 13th give you enough time to address their comments?
I would think so. Yeah, we'll take a look at the comments. If we need more time, we'll request to continue, but I think that's safe.
All right. Is there anything else you want to let us know before we continue?
I think I covered my checklist here.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great. In that case, I would look for a motion such as to continue the public hearing for, the 3 public hearings for 860 New West Townsend Road, PBSA 26-1, PBSW 26-1, PBSP 26-1, to Monday, April 13th at 6:05 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much.
See you in 3 weeks.
Have a good night.
Okay. We did it in a different order, so we don't need that. Reservoir. Do we have other special permits tonight, or is that
We
every?
have 225 Leominster Shirley Road, de minimis change to a previously approved site plan.
That,
Is not an advertised hearing.
that was,
That's not a hearing.
It's not a hearing.
oh, okay.
It's de minimis, so it didn't need a.
Got it, all right.
or
We
it's
just
a
didn't know where to
request
put
for
it.
de minimis.
We didn't know where to put it on the agenda.
I don't know that Brian has ever done anything de minimis.
You know what threw me is the fact that we have two on Leominster Shirley Road tonight. That,
This one is, promise you.
All right.
so we don't need to open.
Nope.
Take it away.
All right, Brian Marchetti, McCarty Engineering, here tonight on behalf of PS&G, Realty 225, 229. Back in 2022, we permitted with both ZBA and Planning Board a new garage at Powellstone and Gravel's existing garage facility or property. We got a variance from ZBA for setbacks. It's a non-conforming lot. And we received site plan review and stormwater permit from the planning board. We had a couple of utility challenges that we had to work out after before they could start construction. One being water. So the water main closest to the site is located in front of their retail facility, which is across the MBTA bridge. So we didn't get permission or wouldn't be allowed to cross the bridge with the public water. So the closest water was at the end of Reservoir Road by Keating's. So we worked with the Water Commission. We got a set of plans together for a water main extension. And at the time, all the abutters up and down the street were interested in contributing and putting the water main in, but that never happened. So once the cost came through, nobody else was interested. So the Powells decided to sit on it until basically last fall. We got the full steam ahead to start construction. So we got all the mechanical subs involved to design the building. We got the architects involved to design the building. And through that process, we're required now both without the water main to put in a fire cistern and a fire pump. So that's being designed. We did meet with the fire department. It meets fire code. They're 100% on board with it. We just need to have all those calculations and the design reviewed through the building permit process. So that's the first change you see on the plan here. Instead of a water main that comes from the road, there's going to be a fire cistern in the parking lot that has a suction hose or a pump in the building, so it'll draw from the cistern. So there's going to be a room inside the building that houses the fire pump. The other change that came about was power. We originally proposed to connect an Old Shirley Road where they currently have electricity and telecommunications from a utility pole. However, the phase of power that's required, Unitil told us we have to come from the utility pole out here in front of the site. And then we need to have a drop-down transformer where we come off the pole. So we're now feeding electric from a utility pole here in Leominster Shirley Road. We lost a few parking spaces to house the transformer. We still exceed, there's only, I believe, 13 spaces required for the development. We had 57 spaces proposed, but it's needed for all their trucks.
Yeah.
So now we're down to 54 spaces, which still exceeds what's required by your regulations. During septic testing, we originally just showed a box back here where the septic was going to go. The soils out here are all sandy, so it's really good soils. After doing testing and doing our design through the Neshoba Board of Health, we show an actual footprint on the plan. It's a little bit bigger, twice the size of what we thought it was going to be or what we originally showed, but again, that was just a block on the plan before, so it's designed now and it's been approved through the Neshoba Board of Health. And then our final plan change is the building size. It was originally proposed at 12,300 square feet, but we added a 40 by 15 bump out on the top right corner of the building. It doesn't change our conformity or non-conformity with the setback, so it doesn't affect our variance with ZBA. That bump out's required for the compressor room and bulk oil storage for the needs of Powellstone and Gravel's garage. So we did meet with the building commissioner initially. He thought these changes would be able to be just approved as construction change, but after speaking with the board, they decided they wanted to just bring them forth to, so everybody was well aware of what changed on the plan and to show that we're not, changing the conformity of the development now according to your regulations. So that's it. That summarizes the changes. The plan is being fully designed. All the building permit packages should be submitted shortly. We've got, the building has been designed. It's a nice gray building with some stone facades, so all those plans will be submitted through the building permit process. You'll be able to see what it's going to look like. I didn't have them ready to bring tonight with me, but, and
All right.
and you all know the Powells, they're a fixture in town. They're not going to put anything here that's below, below bar, so.
Is the, with that bump out on the building, is there any notable change in impervious?
No, it was all impervious before. There's zero change
Okay.
numbers.
And I'll turn to Mr. Wallace and ask, does this fall within our stated scope for de minimis
It
changes?
does. If you're inclined to agree with that assessment, you would be voting to approve the de minimis change to the site plan that was originally approved on April 25th, 2022.
All right. I'm going to turn to the board and ask, do we have any questions?
So they're actually gonna build it this time.
They wanted to be in the ground already. I'm
They
slowing
wanted to
them
be in the
down.
ground 4 years ago, if I
I
remember
was going to say,
correctly.
now,
Yeah,
actually,
it
that's just a procedural question I have.
Yes.
Site plan's 4 years old. They haven't built yet. Thought they're good for 2 years. Did we do an extension on it?
The Permit Extension Act, so COVID extended it, and the Permit Extension Act, any plans that were valid between, was it January 1st, 2023 and January 1st, 2025 are again procedurally extended another additional 2 years. So
Okay.
all permits are still valid.
Yep. No, that's right, because I learned about that act when we actually had a 20-year-old special permit that hadn't been acted on yet, that then got another 2-year extension for a cell phone tower somewhere.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, but it was just, it was like, that came into the office, and I'm like, why are we looking at something from 2005? That's wild, okay. Great, okay, that makes sense. All right, if,
I move we find this a de minimis change.
Second.
moved, seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
And we would need to approve the de minimis change, correct?
Yes, I move we approve the de minimis changes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect. That one took me a minute to really go back in the memory banks. I'm like, I do remember talking about this, but it's been a hot minute. Okay, that is all of our public hearings for tonight, correct? Wild. All right. I see. So next up, we do have, for 1083 Northfield Road, there is the notice of intent for the right of first refusal.
Yep. The Open Space Committee, this one surprised me, because I didn't know we could both be in the first right of refusal stage and have them submitting for their driveways like they were. But the Open Space Committee found it not meeting the standards we set, and decided to pass on our first right of refusal.
Now,
Or recommends, sorry.
yes. Now, this is Tanner's property that we've been looking at with the common driveway, et cetera, and this, yeah. And part of the odd timing of this, I think, was the realization when it came out of forestry. And there was some, I think, some paperwork questions on timing and everything. So that's why we might be looking at this in a different order than we might normally expect.
Sure.
It's not uncommon for folks to permit on chapter land. And
Okay.
then either sit on the permit or then decide to pull it out when they actually get the permit.
Gotcha.
Makes the land more valuable and
Yeah.
it's harder for the town to match the offer.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, until, even after they're independent, I trust Open Space's opinion greatly on this, but I can't think of personally a use for this land for the town.
Sure. Yeah, it doesn't connect with our other town land in the area. It's 30 acres, I think, instead of the 50 that we prefer.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of close to the southern portion of Table Rock, but
Yeah.
not close enough that it's connected.
All right. Then, okay. Any other thoughts on this?
No,
I
I
would
don't
look-
see a legitimate planning purpose for it.
Okay, so let's have a motion to tell the select board that.
I move that we advise the select board to pass on the first right of refusal for, is it 1083 Northfield Road?
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lee, can you please send that confirmation
I will.
along to Melissa?
Yes.
Thank you. They've been chomping at the bit for our response. Snow days get in the way.
Order
Okay,
less snow days.
what's that?
So tell them to order less snow days.
Right?
We like snow days.
Okay, and the next is for 181 Electric Ave, their stormwater permit, request for certificate of completion.
Yeah, so board members, can I assume that you all got my pre-meeting memo? Okay, well, these folks are seeking occupancy permits, but the building commissioner has gone out to the property and there's still some loaming and seeding work to be done. So we asked the applicant to submit an as-built plan and to cost out the remaining work to be done, and see if you would be willing to let them post a bond for that work. If you are so inclined, I would suggest that we have Graves Engineering review the outstanding work that needs to be done to make sure the bond estimate is somewhat in the ballpark, and then review the work once it's complete. Applicant, do you have anything that you want to add to that, folks?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel Sheehan with Haley and Ward, one who prepared the as-built plan and the bond estimate. The applicant here, Masood, is also present as well. I honestly have nothing really to add to that. We've been out there a few times, taking a look at things, as things have kind of been progressing out there. We didn't really have too many major issues. The only thing I just wanted to at least note, as noted in the letter itself with the bond estimate, we did notice when comparing the as-built plan to the approved plan, the stormwater rain garden that was proposed there is actually slightly larger in volume. It's raised up about a foot, so it's a little bit different than what you see on the approved plan, but from a volumetric standpoint, everything else kind of matched out. So we didn't really have any major concerns, but just figured I'd at least throw that for the record.
Great, thank you.
Were there inspections performed by Graves during the construction to ensure that the stormwater was sufficiently constructed?
I don't think so, no. Which is something we might want to consider.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to
forward.
approve anything without an inspection of the site. It's kind of a general mess out there, and I don't know that that's 100% the applicant's fault, because it's been a mess over there for decades, because they started crushing the rocks and they just left it all there. Yeah, I would want an inspection, a review of the cost estimate, as you said, and I would like to see an escalator in the bond that gets placed, anywhere between 20 and 30%.
If I may, just so I understand, for the escalator, is that kind of like a contingency? Is that?
It's a contingency, if they decide that they're not gonna do it, and they move on to the next one, and they start doing that, and the costs go up, and those sorts of things.
Understood. Thank you.
So would you want the escalator to kick in after a certain amount of?
No, I'd want it placed up front with the bond.
Okay.
And my feeling is this isn't a subdivision, so I want cash. I don't want a surety bond.
May I ask your reasoning on that? Because I'm curious.
Because cash, we have access to. Surety bond is like you get in an accident and you have to go fight with somebody's AARP insurance, and they don't want to give their money up because they're an insurance company and they don't make money paying out.
Fair.
It's not even if we add the 25%, we're in the $25,000 to $27,000 range, and that's a lot of money for most people. I think on a project of this magnitude, coming up with that cash in the interim, A, gives incentive to finish the project, and B, gives the town easy access if there's an issue and we need to claim it.
Well, I think that makes total sense.
So I would recommend getting Graves out there as soon as possible to size up the remaining work and make sure that their bond estimate is adequate to cover it. And then at that point, you can submit the bond and do the work. And then once you're done with the work, have Graves go out there and sign off on it, and you're done.
And I would advise the applicant going forward, I think you have 4 or 5 more lots, to work with Steve to have Graves continue to inspect during construction. It'll make your life easier when you come to this point.
I don't know that there's any money left in their 53G account. I'll
Then
have
we'll
to
need a
check.
re-up on that as
Yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Just for clarity's sake, the applicant doesn't own all 5 lots, he just owns the 2 of them currently, which is Lot 1 and Lot 2, 181 and 189, where you're seeing the construction happening today. But just for clarity.
Yeah, well, then just work with it while he's going through the second lot then.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, great. What do we need for, I mean, are there any other thoughts from the board or concerns? To me, this plan makes sense, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. All right, what do we need for a motion, or do we need a motion now?
Yeah, what, no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, make a motion.
I move that we send the bond estimate to Graves, request a progress inspection on the site, and if the progress inspection and the numbers check out, the bond be submitted with a 25% contingency clause, and the agreement be brought to the board for signature.
And the bond in cash.
And the bond in cash, yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll try to get Graves out there as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Can I have him go through you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great, thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Before we go on to our next topic, I would like us to have about a 3-minute recess, if we could.
I love that.
Great.
Move for a 5-minute recess.
Super.
Second.
Great.
Aye.
Aye.
Later, I think these people should pass.
Do we need to do anything to come back from recess?
I was gonna say, I actually don't think I've ever had a recess at a planning board meeting before now.
I think you could just call it back into order.
All right. We're back in order, everybody. Hooray. Okay. Next up, we have two board discussions, master plan, and then the 2026 work program. So, master plan. We have had a draft of the master plan for some time and the opportunity to go in and give some comments.
Thus far, I've received written comments from Adam and Amanda.
Good job.
Right, baby.
My comments got incorporated in earlier editions overall.
So unless there's any other comments that we want to share with them, I would like to transfer those comments to the consultant tomorrow and have them finish this thing up.
Let's take a look at those and see that we agree as a board. And that makes sense to me.
Do I have their comments? I did not bring their comments.
I have mine.
I have mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're only 3 pages.
Mine's only 1 page, I think, maybe.
You can go ahead.
You want me to go? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
But the problem is a lot of them is I agree with Adam. I say that like 3 times in here. So you mentioned the overall colors of the document. I know that's kind of like, you know, not super specific to the plan. I agree. I think they're terrible. It's like green and orange, I think. I think green and blue are more predominant in the Lunenburg seal. We were talking about where the colors were coming from. I think, yeah, blue and green, maybe. We talk about it being a farming community. Green to me seems a little better, green and blue, rather than green and orange. Let's see. Also, the school colors I mentioned are blue and white, so, you know, that makes a little bit more sense than orange. I questioned if the plan was going to be digital and or in print, and it comes to mind when looking at the maps. And I go into more detail. So I said the map on page 31 is a little chaotic and it's difficult to read. We got it as a digital document, but I still had issues zooming in and reading what the document, like what the map was actually saying. And I'm a younger person who's reading this. I question whether or not somebody who might have a little less digital literacy is going to be able to decipher the plans. Let's see. I said it's not really user-friendly. If it's meant to be a printed draft, it's going to be very difficult to see anything on the maps. It might be okay if it's a digital draft depending on the document type. The map on page 53 falls under the same issue. The map on page 100, same thing, but almost worse. The map on page 116 is better, but it's a smaller space that's being referenced on the map. The map on page 140 is impossible to read. I said, again, I agree with Adam on the formatting of recommendation pages. They look awkward. The font is small and formatted strangely. Again, if this is going to be digital, the reader won't need a magnifying glass to read it. Many of the pages and recommendations have large empty spaces and gaps. The recommendation tables are a bit difficult to read, but I'm unsure if there's a way to make it easier. A lot of the pages are half full because it skips to the next page when there's a new section. I think they provide an adequate amount of information for the reader, but it just looks awkward. I listed off all of the empty spaces / full pages. I won't read all those off. And I said, overall, the map should be on their own pages with pertinent information on the adjoining page as needed. It will be easier for the average reader to see it as such. The empty gaps on the previously mentioned spaces could be occupied with pictures of the town I suggested, public buildings, public land. There's a lot of mention of preserving open space and farmland, but there's no pictures inside to emphasize what's being referenced. Those inclusions would help eat up some of the blank space and make the overall look of the document have more of a balance between facts and images. I referenced the first section of the document. It had a better mix of pictures and information. And I don't know necessarily, this is my first master plan, so I don't know if they're all business and not so much, pretty pictures. But if I'm an average person reading it, I'm going to be more interested in seeing a mixture of these things rather than just factual evidence. It's very fact heavy, and I think it could be made a little bit better if we included more photography or, different informational things in there. I also said, I believe it was mentioned in the meeting about other tables that were missing. Was it population and demographics? I don't remember what it was. I think having information in there is incredibly important as well. The greater amount of basic information we can give the average reader, the better understanding they'll have of the master plan document overall. I also think of this in terms of people who are new moving to Lunenburg. We as Lunenburgians?
Yes. I'll go with Lunenburgers.
Lunenburgers. We kind of understand the town. We kind of know what our populace is, what our population is. We kind of know the sights and sounds and the things that are going on. But if you're a new person coming to this town, maybe you're picking up the master plan just to do some research to see if Lunenburg is, the next place you'll call home. Having these demographics and a little bit more basic info in there would help the average person.
So your master plan is actually in two parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first part is where all the demographic information
Okay.
and population trends.
And was that missing the first time?
So that was originally, that we as a board and as a community have had the initial conditions report for a couple years.
Okay.
That's all included in that.
Okay.
Some of the feedback I've already given to Over Under et al. Was that it would be good to have that initial conditions report include, so basically.
It's like a volume 1 and volume 2.
Yeah, to have a copy where the initial conditions report is included.
Okay.
Because that's a lot of that. I hadn't thought of it in terms of something a resident might use for reference, but it's certainly something planners use on the wonky side to.
That was the first thing I thought of when I looked at the master plan report. Where's the stats?
Where's all the geeky stuff?
Right. Okay.
And I can tell you on the topic of digital versus print, I mean, the ultimate goal is both.
Okay.
For it to be able to be printed, and there will be some number of, not large, but some number of printed copies, but also recognizing that most people today do.
Digital.
And realistically, in order for those maps to be useful to anyone, they need to be 24 by 36 or larger.
Sure.
So maybe in whatever print copy gets put at the library, there's a appendix of folded up maps in the back that if people really want to access them, they can.
And I think it might have just been whatever format we were given the digital version in, but you can't zoom in on those maps to me, it wasn't as easy as like a blueprint we would get with planning, where you zoom in and it reloads and it's clearer. For me, you would zoom in and you would see nothing.
I think that's, because I think what we have is a PDF.
Right.
Yeah.
And a PDF is theoretically scalable indefinitely. Well, as much as, in that case, as much as the source.
Whatever image
file.
was, yeah.
But you have trouble believing the source, but
It didn't work for me, like, zooming in and having a clearer picture,
So what size map should we ask for the printed?
I think 24 by 36 or whatever the resident size of the map they created is. I think, sort of to Amanda's point, if it's going to be a digital heavy document, like we expect it to be on the website, we need to make sure it meets the accessibility standards so that everybody can access it and use it. And those are pretty clearly spelled out, and they should be able to do that.
I think it's Title II.
I'm going to turn to the board for a second.
Sure.
We have Ms. Duffy here, who is the chair of our steering committee, is remaining in effect, one, because we haven't voted to dissolve it, and they've not asked us to dissolve them because they'd like to be able to remain as an extant thing, if only to make sure the Facebook page for master plan gets updated, and in case we need anything else from them, in terms of information. Is there any objection to if, instead of out there taking notes silently, if I invite Kim up to chat as well as need be with it? So, Kim, you can come up to the microphone and chat if you want on these things as well.
Thank you.
Did you have additional comments?
That was it. That was my whole email.
So I'm going to start with the existing conditions report because I went back and reviewed that as I wasn't on the board at the time. And I agree with Amanda on a lot of what she said. I'm not personally bothered by the vacant space. I think once you see it in printed format or giving the separation, it might just be because I'm used to working with documents that leave it that way because you're moving on to the next page. It doesn't bother me, but I also understand why you would want to fill it with pictures or graphics.
I did, and maybe not so much even pictures or graphics, but I do remember seeing the change in font size. Some of the font on those pages were particularly small, so that's another point, yeah.
I just want to be able, I want everyone to be able to read it. In the existing conditions report, there's a table on page 21. It appears to be disconnected from the table that comes before it, and I didn't understand what they were trying to tell us with that table. I'm not the smartest guy, but like, I looked at it and I was like, I'm not sure what this is. I didn't put what it was, but I think it's the only table on page 21, and I looked at it and I was like, huh. The land use section doesn't include the passage of the multifamily overlay district and the MBTA compliance. I understand that it was done before that. It might be worth at least adding some mention of it as we adopt it. That will be a critical piece of, yes, we've done this and we're not in trouble with Ms. Campbell because she'll really come and slap us down. The projections in the housing section for population show us losing population over time. And my question was whether or not underused the Donahue study that the town.
They did.
They did, okay. I didn't remember what the numbers in that looked like. It had been a long time, so. And then the map on page 59 appears to be missing a key. There's lots of colors on it, and there's no legend that tells us what they are.
I missed that when I was reviewing it. The population projections have us losing population over time?
The Donahue projections, I take them with a grain of salt.
Because I don't believe,
Well, and we had those done because the 2010 census projections had us losing a ton of population, and the decade of 2010 to 2020, we were one of the 5 largest growth communities in the state. And so we were trying to find a way to get a more realistic understanding based on the 2015 to 2020 ACS on what those projections might look like. So we actually commissioned our own population study by Donahue in 2019 or 2020. And I thought it showed us growing, not losing.
because I want to learn more about that data source, about how that number came to be, because I am shocked at the concept that we could be losing population. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the townhouses.
Yeah.
That were just in front.
And I think Steve's right. It should be taken with a grain of salt. They lump us in with the whole MSA, the whole metropolitan statistical area. They look at trends over the whole region and they map us based on those birth rates and those. It's not I don't want to say it's not science, but it's just barely science.
Do we need a note signifying that if we're going to have that date? My worry with that. So look, I'm going to tie this to some of the other discussions I'm having.
MSBA.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm for the Yeah, the municipal building, whatever that committee is.
Design.
Design committee, yeah. It's had so many names over the years. But our population's been growing, it hasn't shown signs of shrinking, and that's where I'm there making an argument, and I think, a good faith, and I think an accurate argument, that we are probably 10 to 20 years from Lunenburg at 20,000 people.
We're also an aging population, so that comes into play as well. Families are smaller.
Donahue shows a reduction in population growth for both Sterling and Westminster.
Yeah.
And they're both
Booming.
growing.
Yeah, I'm worried about our master plan having data in it that we anticipate being incorrect.
Which page is this on? Because I didn't see that either.
It's in the housing section of the existing conditions report.
Oh, it's in, okay, so it's not in the plan itself.
Yeah, I went whole hog and just read the whole thing.
Oh, that's good.
I'm happy to read the other 2+ pages of my thing. It's really in the weeds. And it goes by, essentially what I did is went through the implementation matrix and added a whole bunch of different folks and wondered why certain folks were attached to certain items.
They explicitly wanted that feedback from us.
I understand.
Yeah.
I shockingly was explicit.
Good.
In that table, so they included initially all of the committees and boards that we reached out for to see if there was like impact or any interaction with the board, and they might have left a lot in there that feedback was no, or we didn't get feedback.
I think they left a lot out, and I think they over-assigned the planning board to things that aren't in the planning board's lane.
Yeah, might have been in the second revision, because we did add a lot of things to the planning.
And they were explicit that they thought we had, that was in one of the discussions. I don't remember if you were at that, on that call or not, but no, they called out explicitly that they thought more got stacked on us than was likely correct, and wanted that's one area they specifically wanted our feedback.
Yeah, so I didn't list all the names, I listed them by number. So
That's-
if you want me to go through, I'm happy to. If you want, since we've talked about this here, if you want Steve to send you my memo, or if you want me to send you my memo, I'm happy to do that.
I would love to receive your memo.
Okay.
But one way or another, I don't think we have to read through every
Yeah.
comment here. I do want to chime in. I fall in a different place than Amanda on the white space. I think it's one of the better parts of the design of the document.
What
is-
about, I think my concern was font size as well, because if you're going through those pages, there's big pockets of white space, no problem, whatever. But the font size on those pages, I think could be bigger, and maybe this is like the English professor in me coming out, like font sizing to me is important, and I feel like there's gotta be some kind of a happy medium between pages that have more information on them while it's still fitting, and pages that have less, that are a little bit more legible.
You generally speaking, and there are exceptions, you want to maintain consistent font sizes
Agreed.
for the, so I'd
Agreed.
have to look at those, but I can,
But you know what I'm saying, like some pages have more info, other pages have less info, but the pages that have less info have a smaller font size, and I think overall the font size could be better throughout the document.
okay. I think that's valuable feedback nonetheless.
So there are a few things that I would really like to go over with the board
Please,
because I want the board to understand what I'm saying and hopefully sign on with me, but I want to get to the matrix to be able to do that because I don't remember exactly what they say.
Oh, Kim, I don't think we identified you formally. Would you give your name and address at the microphone?
Yes, Kim Duffy, 1479 Mass Ave, Chair of the Master Plan Steering Committee.
Awesome. I just realized we don't technically have that on the record, I think, yet, so.
So in recommendation 110, assess the conditions that would allow the development of low-income housing, senior housing. I don't love the use of the word assess, and I think that I've said that to you before. I don't know what my recommendation would be. I think exploring opportunities is probably a more...
Investigate options for
Yeah,
senior housing supply.
Yeah, and I also don't like the use of low income. I think it creates a negative connotation. I think we should be using affordable and/or very affordable, because those are both general and terms of art, where affordable is 80% of AMI or area median income, and very low is 60 or below. And I think that this town, for all of the wonderful things, still has some really horrible aspects about the tenor of the population and their approach to people of color and people of varying income levels. And I would not like to see us encourage the use of those types of biases in making decisions.
You're only saying that because it's true.
I've been known to do that. In 207, we talk in this plan about agro-tourism. Love it. I think it's fine. As income streams, on-site food processing and sales. Why are we not also including farm breweries or distilleries? These are wonderful micro-scale businesses that can help keep agricultural uses going. I would point you to Stone Cow in the town of Barry. It's an active dairy. They have a brewery on site. If you go there any weekend over the summer, the place is absolutely hopping. And if you're a fan of medieval fun, if you go there around Thanksgiving, they're throwing pumpkins with trebuchets at cars. So I don't think that we're necessarily going to replicate the lightning in a bottle that they captured there, but I think we have properties in town that could benefit from exploring these types of options.
I, want to appreciate the use of hoppin when discussing brewing. But it's a hops thing for those who aren't really into beer, that's fine. But would that not be agritourism? Or, I mean, I'm not opposed to...
I don't know that it isn't agritourism, but I think when you hear agritourism, you think about going and pick your own strawberries, or watch the cows get milked, or hay rides, or pumpkin patches, and it's a little more dirt farmy, and let the city folks come out and see how the country bumpkins grow their food, as opposed to like an active on-site running business that is, almost a manufacturing facility, but on a small scale tied to the farm.
I think it's very important to include this language because in my mind, to me, agritourism almost means the exact opposite, that the old school, like, we're going to go pick pumpkins. Mm-hmm. Sure, that's included because that's what we used to do, but that's just being a farm too.
Yeah.
As opposed to agritourism being the newer thing. So that's my roundabout way of saying, I was picturing 180 degrees, so it's worth clarifying regardless, I think.
Okay.
Because I want this to be a document that someone can pick up and go, oh, wait a minute, I could do that.
Mm-hmm. In 210, I wondered aloud if in the action sheets, if one of the actions could be the creation and maintenance of a farmer's directory to create linkages between farmers of various sizes, shapes, and methodologies within town. I know the Agricultural Commission works on this through an informal means, but if there was a way to have a managed and maintained document or directory, it would allow them to share equipment, share methods, those kinds of things, and it might be a good action that could easily be accomplished.
I've been talking with the Economic Development Committee about putting together a promotional brochure for the town, and like I've done in both Sterling and Westminster. And as part of that, we list all the farms that people, tourists, can go to and partake. So I would be meeting with the Agricultural Committee and asking them to put together a list of farms.
I'm actually thinking of this not for the public, but for the farmers.
No, it could serve dual purposes.
Yeah, but it would let farmers connect on their own level and not need to attend AgCom, or just be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I grow pumpkins too, I want to buy, I don't know, a trebuchet to throw them. You want to go in with me and we can throw our pumpkins together?
I think that's a great action item to assign to the AgCom.
I like that. Yeah.
301, I think I've mentioned this to Steve, and I think he almost got more white hair and quit. I'd like to do a full zoning rewrite. I'd love to see that mentioned as an action. I don't expect...
The next town plan.
Well, we're going to hunt down some grant money and get...
See, we'll hire consultants. How bad could it be?
I mean, Adam Costa's cheap, right? He'd do a great job.
I believe he would.
Oh, that thing would be so tight.
It would be amazing.
So what's your main beef with our current zoning bylaw, and then I'll tell you mine.
It's awful.
It is a quilt of reactionary zoning that has been patchwork fixed over a decade plus.
Okay, I see a lot of redundancy in
Yep.
the document. I see some contradictions in it.
Yep.
I think it could be reorganized into something that makes a bit more sense. Now, finding a grant to pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look.
I agree with you. I don't know that there's a lot of them out there.
I don't think a one-stop's gonna pay for that.
Probably not. It's always worth an ask. I mean, an hour on Zoom with Mackenzie Bell will get you a good no, but at least you got a solid no.
And I just want to echo, that is, I have heard that from now, not just two planners who have worked with the town. That has been a repeated comment from other planners who have filled in an interim over the past couple of years, who look at our zoning and go, yeah, this is a little bit it's a little bit all over the place.
And it's better than it was.
Oh, it's so much better than it was.
It used to be all individual chapters, and each chapter had its own definition of uses.
There's still a lot of that, but.
For 3.2, the Economic Development Committee should be the lead. I don't think the planning board should be updating the development guide, the business guide. The EDC shouldn't be doing the assessing of modifying of the bylaws. That's the planning board. Uh, 3.4, I find, and I have said this here before, fundamentally the idea of encouraging small business. I think what we should be doing is removing barriers. If it's an encouragement thing, then the EDC should be the lead, as that's kind of their role, is to cheerlead and shepherd people through things. If it's going to be the planning board, it should be looking and assessing removal of barriers.
Minor site plan review.
Correct.
I simultaneously agree, but, and my but on that is that we say promoting small business growth. Small businesses are up to 500 employees. And so a lot of when we talk about, now the EDC has expressed a desire to look more at small business growth versus micro business growth. But I kind of want to remove barriers for micro businesses, but I want to make it easier for small businesses. I don't know if that difference makes sense. I want it to be I want it to be as easy as feasible for a mom and pop to open up their shop.
Yeah.
I want to encourage a 300 employee manufacturing facility to come to town. Like, there's a difference to me in that level.
But I mean, this is talking about locating in the village center.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind.
so-
You're right. No, location matters.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to make it easier to locate in the businesses in the village center, that's fine. We can look at how we amend the bylaws to do that, or what we do to minor site plan, or those type of things. But encouraging as an action, I find challenging for a regulatory board.
I would walk back my comment. I wasn't processing it in the context of Village Center, which is by definition going to have more of the micro business.
Yeah, so a lot of the feedback from the public was they wanted small businesses in the town center, so it's a more walkable area, places for people to go that aren't like home or work. It's like that third place situation. And like not having chain restaurants that kind of disrupt the look and feel of town center. People really pushed that idea. And that's why there's a lot of pushback about having that Dunkin' Donuts in whether it's a drive-through or not. Like, people don't want that, given the feedback for this plan. There's a lot of small businesses in there, and this might not be all planning board, like zoning stuff. Like, there's a lot of other ways that we can encourage small businesses in the town center, which is like if we can improve, like, I don't know anything about the roads, like any.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
sidewalks,
transportation stuff that can be
yeah.
done to make it more walkable.
There are restrictions in your architectural preservation bylaw that are just very discouraging for starting.
Can we add a recommendation to delete the architectural preservation district? It's a failed experiment.
That's up to you folks. If you're going to keep it, I would certainly make some.
It's almost turned into a local historic district. That's not what it's intended to be, and it's hitting a standard that we purposely avoided in the creation of it because property owners would not want to do that, and it would be a discouragement for rehabilitation of properties.
I would argue it has not almost become a historic preservation district. I would argue it has in every way but name. At least for all practical purposes.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe that's a discussion that we have about the planning board taking some action at some point.
I don't disagree with that. I would love to do that and replace with form-based zoning, because I like the concept of it. Like, I like the idea.
And maybe that's a way to do it, is we write a form-based code for the village district and delete the APD at the same time.
Yeah, that would be, that's kind of what I've been chewing over in my brain as an approach, because I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose the vague control over charm. But
Which is something that was very expressed also in the master plan, based on public
Yeah.
feedback. People like the charm of the town and.
Yeah, and that was sort of the impetus for creating the APD. The village district was coming in, people were afraid that Walmart was going to build downtown, or I don't know why. And we very thoughtfully went and found something that was implemented elsewhere that looked at addressing specifically the physical appearance, not the material construction or the methods of construction or the actual historic aspect, but the physical appearance. And so from 50 feet, it retains its historical appearance, but up close, it could be cement board or vinyl siding or something of that nature.
You drive through downtown Groton, they've got a Dunks in downtown Groton.
They do.
They've got an Ace Hardware right on the road in downtown Groton. Yet, it doesn't look like a Dunks and Ace Hardware, it looks like downtown Groton.
Do they have a drive-through at the Dunkin'?
No.
No, I think, I suspect Groton has a, I haven't looked, but I suspect they have a drive-through ban, because they have 3 Dunks in that, not
I mean, I
that
can
my
list
coffee
off-
habits are being revealed.
Yeah, half a dozen Dunks that don't have drive-throughs. There's a McDonald's in Acton. I've never been to that McDonald's, and it wasn't completely packed. I mean, Sudbury has a Dunks in the historic district. They have all sorts of stuff that, if people want to be somewhere, they'll make it work. And I take your point that people don't want chain restaurants, but then we need to go ahead and write a bylaw that prevents restaurants that have more than 3 locations from locating in town. I don't know that I want to be the one to do that, because, it's like, any news is publicity. So any business is business, it's tax dollars. And if we're gonna get persnickety and stick our nose up at somebody wanting to locate a business because it's part of a chain, then we have to take it on the chin that we have a $2.5 million deficit, and we're gonna continue to have it because we can't get out of our own way. It's the same thing with rezoning. We don't have much more commercial land left, but God forbid we should take any of the state numbered routes that are hosting 15 to 20,000 cars a day and put businesses on them. That's
We're going to have numbers to that effect in the near future.
Okay.
One of the district local technical assistance grants I got from Montechusett was to have them take a look at what we have for remaining developable land in our commercial and industrial districts that we can match up against the 2000 build-out maps.
Okay.
Just so we can see how much it's changed in the past 25 years and what we have left.
Okay.
So we'll have that by the end of the summer, hopefully.
I just wanted to loop back and say, I agree with changing encourage in situations like that to removing barriers. I mean, for all the reasons we've kind of said. I think that also gets to the crux of, I think that meets the desire people actually have for making it so it can happen.
Yeah.
But if you're removing barriers to small businesses, how are you going to not remove the barriers to large businesses, I guess, in
the village center? You're limited to, I think it's 5,000 square feet of floor area for a business. So there isn't a large business that wants that size. I mean, in New York City, you might get a Trader Joe's who's like 5,000 square feet, we'll take it, but not in downtown Lunenburg. They want to build the same thing they have in Foxborough, where it's the widest aisles I've ever been in a Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I mean, economics is going to drive it there. There isn't if we get to the point that a large business wants to move into, and I'm going to argue that a Dunks, especially because I'm under the impression that they're a franchise system and not a corporate owned.
It's some of both, but it's mostly.
But, I mean, your local franchise is a small business. It is a small business that is a franchise of a larger corporation, but it is a individually operating small business.
It's not as warm and fuzzy as Smokestack and doesn't
Right,
have
yeah.
the ambiance, but
Right, the technicality, yeah, but, I just think that if we want to do this as, the feedback is provided, like, we would just want to make sure that we're not removing the barriers as well for the larger businesses or whatever have unintended consequences of that. It sounds like, right, we have some assurance that, like, it's
I
footage,
think,
like.
I think what we need to be sure that people understand is we're the town, we're setting the table, we don't have the money, the interest, or the ability to open and operate businesses. And if people want business and they don't want Dunks, then go start your own coffee shop if that's what you want. Go find the money, work 7 days a week, work 18 hours a day, and burn yourself out. But it's the town's trying to create the opportunity for business to be there. And if people want these small businesses, great. We can work to find them, but also we have to react to what comes. And that's, I'll get off my soapbox on that now.
I mean, it's all a trade-off, right? You want to lower taxes and
Yeah.
feed the budget, but we don't want, right, to have all these income streams that aren't quite sustainable or good for the town. So it's really a trade-off of like, do we want to spend the money to be like, Harvard and have nothing around, or do we want the income?
And I'll tell you, you don't want to be Harvard.
No.
They don't have a much better budget than we do.
Land.
So for 4.1, it says, ensure new developments provide access to adjacent conservation land and increase wildlife connectivity. I would like to say that that we add in undeveloped land as well, because if there is undeveloped land and someone's developing, think about these condos that we just saw this evening. There is town land adjacent to that. But if it were undeveloped and there was an opportunity for the town to purchase at some point, there's still a connection for those folks to access town land, or to provide an easier connection for future development if that's the desire.
You're talking about 4.1?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Could you help me understand the wording change you're thinking there?
Well, this says to access to adjacent conservation land and increase wildlife connectivity. And I'm saying just include undeveloped land, because that will also help increase wildlife connectivity.
Right.
Because if you're developing and you have access to that adjacent undeveloped land, wildlife can still get there. Or in the future, if land changes hands, the town takes it, there's still an ability to potentially connect.
So you're saying is be less specific about conservation land?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I think. that's an
I'm
improvement.
fine with conservation land,
Yeah.
but undeveloped land.
We could
To
like
conservation and undeveloped land.
Yeah.
All right, I think
It's just
that makes sense.
conservation land, undeveloped land, and increase wildlife connectivity. So it's really just inserting undeveloped land.
Yeah. Okay, now I agree with that. Great.
So I guess in the example of, right, like the condos that were around earlier, like and in general, when they do developments, they just clear all of the land, like all of it kind of haphazardly. And where in the site plan is it to kind of maintain any of that like green space or trees and then address like kind of wildlife connectivity?
We could do that through the stormwater a little
Yep.
bit. They're going to conservation. Maybe conservation can negotiate with them to get a CR on the rear of the property, so it would be a conservation restriction. It'd be protected in perpetuity, and at that point, they would continue to own the land. They just wouldn't be able to build or develop on it, and it would remain open land. And they could theoretically get a minor abatement for the land that's covered under the CR because it's not developable, and it would potentially reduce their tax liability some.
And Kim, I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it here both as a reminder and so it's being said in the public, because I want the public to think about it. This as well is why I try to push ideas like I really think cluster development would be good for us. Because one of the best, again, market drives things. That isn't, I don't have nearly as much faith in the market as you might think from the number of times I sit up here saying market drives things, but there's some reality to it. If we pass bylaws that allow cluster development, that is a cheaper way to build the same amount of housing. And that's the incentive for developers. I mean, you can work in others, but that alone is an incentive for developers to clear 2 of the 5 acres,
Yeah.
not 5 of the 5 acres.
And we can actually mandate cluster by right and conventional by special permit.
I would love that in the long run.
I know the town of Acton has done that, and it's been very successful. I think they've got their AG approval back. It took them a while to get there, but they did it.
So my pet peeve about special permits is that unless you can demonstrate, and this is my understanding, like a actual numerical kind of detriment to get approving that, like they have to approve it. So I don't know, I feel like when we do special permit
Well, that's
like
what-
you just get it, it's approved regardless, because.
But the special permit would be for conventional development. So people would get to do cluster by right.
Right.
Cluster is actually beneficial to the developer because they pay less, because they're clearing less land, they're building less utilities, they're building less impervious, they have less stormwater management to do.
Yep.
So that removes the barrier of the special permit for cluster, and they can just come in and build that.
Any developer is going to go for by right over special
Yeah.
permit.
Even if they already have buyers, like for the land, like what people like choose, right now, there's all these like cul-de-sacs where you have like these big houses, people buy it and build it all along the way.
So-
They already have
But those are by
buyers.
right.
They're doing it now because it's by right. Now, could a developer say, I think there's a hot enough market that I want to do this?
But
But a special permit is risky, because with a site plan approval, if you're doing what you're supposed to, if you check the boxes, we kind of have to say yes legally. We don't get a lot that we can do there. With a special permit, that is where we as a board get to look holistically at the project. We get to look at its impact on the area and everything else. And because that is subjective, not objective criteria, I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars several tens of thousands of dollars of engineering, of speculative work that could, yes, and in all that time, that then to come before us, and we could drag our feet as we try to figure out if it's really a good idea. We could just say no, and then they've wasted 80 grand.
we could also condition it. So if you're worried about clear cutting, we could condition that the lot not be clear cut, it be selectively cut through a special permit, which on a cluster, we wouldn't necessarily be able to do, but there would be a smaller footprint, so there would be some retention of other areas.
There'd be an open space requirement.
Yeah.
40%, 50%.
75.
Yep. And that's also where, and that's where, over time, developers get to know their board, right? They get to know the board in the area, at least some do. And that's where they can come back and say, okay, I know that y'all are really pushing the open space thing. So this is a special permit for single-family homes. But I want to show you what we're doing to try to meet those needs that you kind of passed this other bylaw, and we're just doing it differently. Yeah.
Adam, anything else on the master plan?
Yes, 4.3 to 4.6. Why are they all individual? It's just different trail networks, one for walking, one for biking, one for dogs, one for horses. I don't know why we can't create one recommendation that says, create a town-wide trail network that connects to adjacent towns, dense housing areas, conservation lands, while providing opportunities for walking and cycling. I would worry that if we have these 4 individual ones, we're gonna get 4 different groups working on trail networks, and it's gonna look like somebody spilled spaghetti, and we're gonna end up kind of taking away from our conservation land and our open space with parallel trails or crossing trails that have different needs, and we could create one network that hits all of these points and offers multimodal use.
Kim, didn't we talk about this in?
Yeah.
Where did we settle? Because we combined, did we already combine some things? Or, I know we talked about this in one of the meetings with Over Under.
I have to go back and look at my notes, but I know there are some that are separate, specifically the mountain bike trail network, because that's very specific to kind of pedestrian and horse safety, because there's a lot of incidents that involve mountain bikes on trails with horses. So that one is very specifically laid to be separate, because we wanted areas that allow mountain bikes, areas that do not allow mountain bikes, because of that public safety concern. And then for the others, I have to look it up. But I believe we did combine some, so that's a good memory there.
We did, because I know we talked about connecting neighboring towns, or maybe that's already included. But I think we can have the general recommendation can these be combined into fewer, more comprehensive bullet points without losing?
And I think a trail network can have separated trails for different uses, but you're creating a singular network. And there may be points where you have a 20-foot wide trail that does have a crossover for horses and mountain bikes for a short period, bless you.
Bless you.
But also still retains a wider function. But that's, and then the rest is just recommendations on who should be
Great.
listed for what, other than,
Yeah, I think they're combining 4, 4, and 4, 5. So that one's definitely.
so 6.04. Develop uniform town signage. I think that's the select board, if anybody's gonna do that. Because they're the people who are in charge of all the town buildings and all of the policy stuff. I don't think that's a planning board place. I think that's an executive function that either the town manager or the select board should be in charge of.
I'm fine with that.
Haven't we had signage come before us?
This is specifically develop uniform town signage guidance for municipal buildings.
Sure.
Oh, no, our sign bylaw is also a hot mess that needs to be addressed.
Yes, it is.
By our next planner, right, Steve? The worst bylaws ever.
I do have experience putting together a sign bylaw, and if that's a priority with you folks, but we'll talk, that's our next topic.
Yep.
So how would you like to handle giving this feedback to the master plan consultant? Should I just send along Adam's and your comments to the consultant?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think that's good. They will recommend, they're going to do it anyway, but recommend that they check out this portion of the meeting because there's some extra discussion that's come through, and I think that will be valuable to them. In terms of just getting more of the nuance and thoughts of the group that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
I will
now,
take care of that.
I do want to turn to us about another thing. Are we going to want a formal presentation? Once they have come to something and they've said, so they edit, they send back to us, we may or may not have more edits to go back and forth. Are we going to want, once we've said this is good, a formal presentation or no? I don't personally see a need at that point, but
4 years later, do we have money to pay them to do that?
it is in the contract.
That wasn't my question.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it.
I'm of two minds. I mean, we've talked about it so much that I don't think that we need it. I also think there's value in a presentation of, this is the master plan, this is kind of the long and drawn-out process of getting us here, and the ceremonial approval of it. I'm not tied to we have to do that, and I certainly don't want to try and squeeze blood from a stone. I know that they've put a lot of work into this.
I forget what the law says. Are you approving it, are you accepting it, or are you adopting it?
Yes.
All three.
We'll just do all three.
Yeah. Planning, in Lunenburg, planning board is the final say on the master plan. We don't have to go to town meeting.
Okay.
Now, I think there's value in us presenting it to town meeting, but I don't think the town wants to hear from over under on that. I think they want to hear from the citizens who have been involved.
I think that's fine.
All right, then I will, in communication, we just let them know that that isn't something we need.
I mean, if they have a fancy-dancy presentation that they have tentatively prepared, we'll certainly take that and
Yeah.
run with it, but I don't think they need to show up and do the song and dance.
That was my thought, and they indicated they were willing to, but didn't see a real need.
Grudgingly.
No, they were perfectly
No, I
willing,
know.
but just, it didn't seem useful, and I was of the same opinion, but
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't gonna speak for the board and say, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So the plan needs to be approved by majority vote of the planning board, and then it'll be public record.
And what?
It needs to be approved by majority vote of the planning board and then shall be public record. So it's initial approval and then also any changes. Need to have a majority vote by the planning board.
You are speaking a little quietly for me.
Sorry.
I only have one ear that
No, it's okay. I'm just being lazy, not standing up. So according to the Mass General Law, the planning board has to approve the initial plan by majority of vote, as well as any changes, and then the document will then be made public record.
Yep, that's the Lunenburg.
Mass General Law.
Towns can have additional rules, but we're just but no, we are just, to my knowledge.
We need to vote to approve it.
Yeah, we happen to be a community that is just planning board vote majority approved. All right, great. Do we have a call tomorrow?
Maybe.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know.
I know, I'll just watch my email. It's on my calendar, but I don't know if that's accurate, because a lot of the recurring meetings refuse to disappear from my calendar.
You do. Yeah, it won't let me cancel mine, so.
Okay, yeah, good, I'm not the only one, I feel better. All right,
Yeah.
we'll see. Great,
I have something, on, but we can check. We can see.
okay. All right, well then, I think we're good here. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me join.
Thank you, Kim, appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay. 2026 Planning Department Work Program and Zoning Amendments.
Yeah, so I sent this out with my pre-meeting memo last week. Wanted to talk about this. There are things here that we can do without going to town meeting, like amend our regulations and update our fee schedule. In terms of zoning amendments, I'm going to give you my general philosophy on zoning amendments, and we can talk it out here, but I don't like going to a town meeting with 37 zoning amendments. You're just, it's too much for one town meeting. My general philosophy with town meeting is bring 3 or 4 big zoning amendments, no more than that, and then 3 or 4 minor zoning amendments. So I know we have a long list of zoning amendments to tackle, but I want us to prioritize what we want to do here. With zoning amendments, here's how I typically do them. I'll give you a first draft to look over as board members and comments on it. You're going to get that early in the summer. I'm hopeful that by the end of the summer, we're in agreement on the language in the zoning amendment. At that point, once we're comfortable with the zoning proposal, we then shop it around to all the other boards, commissions, and committees to get their feedback. That would be something we do in the fall. And we don't just send it to them and say, hey, if you got any comments, send them over. No, we go to their meeting as a show of respect and courtesy to those other boards. I would suggest that it's the Select Board, the Finance Committee, Conservation, Economic Development Committee, Zoning Board. You have a Public Works Commission? No?
The select board is the road commission.
Okay, Select Board. Those would be the entities I would want to get feedback from. And then we have a public forum in November where we run them by the public. So by the end of November, we've got feedback from all the other boards, commissions, committees, departments, and the general public. We spend December and January revising the bylaws as necessary. one last public forum in February where we say, hey, we heard your comments, we made the revisions, what do you think? And then after that, we have our required public hearing in March, and then it's off to town meeting. That's typically how I like to do zoning amendments. And in my last 2 town planner jobs, so far, I'm 49 for 49 with zoning amendments. So that's the approach I would like to employ here. In terms of the zoning amendments that we move forward on, if we get to the end of the summer and we're not in agreement on any particular one, we'll set it aside and come back to it. We're not going to move forward on something that we're not all in consensus with. Zoning amendments are time-consuming, they're tedious, they are a drag to work on, but they are necessary. So with that said, what do I see as things I would suggest we work on? And again, you're going to tell me on my laundry list what you want to work on. I'd like to rewrite the zoning bylaws inclusionary zoning section. I would like to draft a senior housing bylaw. I would like to draft a minor site plan review provision. Here's my thought on minor site plans. If a new business is going into, if it's a change of use and they're going into an existing building, and the new use does not generate the need for additional parking, and all they're doing is some interior renovations and putting up a new sign, I don't want to put them through the site plan review process. I think that's a business-friendly tactic that we can employ, and I know the EDC would like to see us do that. We can work on a scenic road bylaw. We can work on based on tonight's discussion, we can work on a cluster bylaw and make that a by right use versus special permit for traditional subdivisions, if you're so inclined. Update our fee schedule. Your fee schedule is overly complicated.
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
That's an understatement.
The fact that you can't fit it on one page that bothers me. So let me put something together to pitch to you, and we'll see if you like it. Update our housing production plan that expired 5 years ago.
And that buys us 2 years.
Only if we create units.
Yes. Yes.
We create 0.5% of units, we get 1 year. If we create 1%, we get 2 years.
Correct, Adam. MRPC is going to apply for a one-stop growth grant for this. We'll see if we get it. They did not fund it through their DLTA program. The mapping project, that's one that I spoke of previously. Mass Avenue request for proposals, I'm working on that with the Select Board. Disposition of tax title properties, I'm working on that with the Select Board and the assessors and the treasurer collector.
Is it you get roped into that?
I've done it before.
Yeah.
I might have.
With the new changes, you've done it before?
No. No, I am aware of.
Godspeed, friend.
So we'll add town council to that working group list because we're going to need them. But that's what I have. What would you like to see me work on in preparation for next year's town meeting, zoning amendment-wise?
Cadence-wise, I don't know how much it matters. I'm thinking about the public's appetite compared to what we've usually done. This is not dissimilar volume to what we've done, but we've often split it pretty evenly between town meeting in the spring and special town meeting in the fall.
Here's my thoughts on that. And the big zoning amendments, save them for the annual town meeting. Minor zoning amendments, you can clean them up at special town meeting in the fall.
I am not opposed to that. Practical limitations have caused us to do a lot of big ones at special town meeting.
And that can't be avoided, like the MBTA thing, certainly I understand. But by and large, I'd rather see the big ones go before the full town meeting.
And our town meeting is its own awful, unique animal of starting at 9 AM on a Saturday morning and running till it's done.
I've been told to bring a good book.
And we're almost always the last unless there's citizens petitions. So I'm not against bringing 4 decent ones. And I think having the pre-meeting preparation that you've outlined makes sense. We need to be prepared to convince the few folks who are there to stick around and listen to the droning on about zoning.
Now, we have gotten moved up the docket when necessary.
When necessary, but I don't know that they'll find cleaning up the hodgepodge
No, I don't think they will, but I'm thinking like we got water supply protection district near the front that year because it was a big multi-town meeting contentious issue that we needed people when their focus was fresh.
Yeah, I give that more of as a point of information for Steve.
Yeah.
If we go through this process where we seek input throughout the fall, by the end of it, we're going to have a good idea as to what's going to pass and what's not. And I don't want to go to town meeting
if it's not
with a 50-50 proposition.
I agree. I too do not want to go to town meeting with a 50-50 proposition. Our town meeting is unfortunately sparsely attended enough that any constituency, any subgroup can stack the deck. So it
I would have
can
hoped
be.
that we would have identified that group through the
Ahead of
public
time.
participation
Yes.
process.
Oh, no, I think it's doable that way. I think that's what, again, that's what we did. That is what we did with some of our contentious ones. And then MBTA went through smooth as butter. And we got the water supply protection district through. So, and those were big, difficult deals. So, no, with enough forefront work, we can. Just, town meeting can have a different makeup than anticipated based on whatever the most contentious issue of that meeting is, because you'll get different constituencies showing up. And I welcome to being corrected on that.
No, you're right, and I mean, sometimes you can identify the problem constituency, think you've satisfied them, and they come to town meeting and do the opposite of what you thought they were going to do.
Yes. But that's
any town meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. Honestly, for me, I would dump the scenic road bylaw and do the cluster. Our scenic road bylaw isn't good, but also there's 4 scenic roads, and we see them fairly infrequently.
I would like, when we do a scenic road bylaw, and it doesn't have to be now, I would want us to also, I'm still of the opinion that if we're redoing it, we should be considering drastically increasing the number of scenic roads we have in town. As part of keeping that rural charm, and that being something we know people want from the master plan. But I do think cluster might get us there faster.
Okay, for this first year, I'd like us to focus on housing and economic development-related zoning amendments. For the second year, I can see us tackling a scenic road bylaw and the signage bylaw.
Bold, I like it. I think I have a very different view of scenic roads than you do, Matt.
Yeah, that's
I think scenic roads are dumb. I think they're useless. And I think that the statute absolutely conflates the purpose of what it's there for, because the right-of-way isn't what people want preserved, it's what's beyond the right-of-way. It's the farm vistas, it's the forested views from a toe of slope road. It's everything that you're seeing. And the scenic road bylaw creates this mosh of trees and undergrowth along the road up to the stone wall that we have to preserve or we have to manage, that over time becomes its own like quagmire of, can we cut that? Is it does it qualify as a tree? Do we need the tree warden for a shade tree hearing in addition to the scenic road? And I think it gets really messy. So I'm not opposed to updating the scenic road bylaw or even increasing the number of scenic roads. I think we need to also pair it with a scenic vistas bylaw or some other way to preserve view shed beyond the road. And I think that that's an incredibly challenging perspective, because people don't want to be told what to do with their land. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are the same ones who are going to call and say, my neighbor's yard looks like crap because he doesn't cut his lawn. Can you put a bylaw in place that says he has to cut his lawn? But I think my feeling is, I understand the idea behind scenic road. I don't think that it's preserving what people want as scenic.
I agree with you approximately 100%, and that's been my own concern with scenic roads, is you're protecting a swath. Now, I want to preserve, my concern there is you're not going to get any more big trees. I mean, just once you cut down a big tree, it ain't coming back with the way development works now. And I also have my own passion for for historic stone walls.
Yeah, I like stone walls.
And I'd like to make them untouchable in my fancy world, and just be like, sorry, it's history. I mean, put in a driveway, I guess, but let's keep it minimal.
Okay,
But I'm fine pushing it off, because I think I agree about the difficulty of what it would really be.
The scenic road bylaw, the sign bylaw, those are really aesthetic bylaws. I think they can wait for a year. So, I've got rewriting the inclusionary zoning bylaw, senior housing bylaw, minor site plan revision, cluster bylaw. Do we want to take a crack at the architectural preservation district versus form code? I can start in on that. I think with a form-based code, this might take a while.
I was gonna say, I think I'd love for you to start it. I don't know that we necessarily want to anticipate it for 27, but
yeah,
if you really get cooking, maybe it'll work out.
Okay.
That's where, because I think it's good, but that's going to be a long, potentially difficult discussion.
Well, let me start getting my arms around it and putting it into something I can present to you and get your feedback.
And these aren't necessarily for this year, but, and I've mentioned these to you before as well, and I don't know if these really fall within zoning amendments or others or what, but I think we would benefit from pursuing a friendly 40B, or maybe our own 40R or 40R-like growth district, if we decide 40R isn't the way to go, because the benefits there are at times questionable.
Yeah, I would rather see us look at a mixed-use district.
Yeah.
Where we create commercial and residential on the same parcel, but in separate buildings. Because I know that from a developer's standpoint, the mixed-use building is often hard to finance, but the project where they're on the same site can be more manageable. And I think if we're gonna look at another housing, I would like to look at 40Y and not actually do 40Y, but sort of
40Y?
crib off at starter homes. They just released the regulations. And it's sort of building those houses that nobody builds anymore. You know, the 12 to 1,600 square feet, you know, 2 and 3 bedroom, maybe on a smaller lot, maybe in a village or.
Okay, we just went through this in Sterling. Our housing production plan identified starter homes as a big need. So we came up with what we call the compact development district, where we reduce the dimensional requirements for starter homes. One thing our town council said was you can't place, in your bylaw, you can't place a limit on the number of bedrooms. You can place a limit on the square footage of the building, but not the number of bedrooms.
So, I mean, I would look at 40Y. I think the state, in their infinite wisdom, and as they love to do, overcomplicated things and gave you too many guardrails and regulations, but I think that the intent of it makes a lot of sense, and I think we could probably craft something under normal zoning that would achieve a lot of the same thought processes.
And I have another thought, but it's pivoting off of that, so I don't want to cut that.
Okay, well, let me do some research on this.
And again, I don't think it's a this year thing, but I think, I don't know when it triggers. And Stephen, I've talked to you about this as well. Bill H 3680 is in committee. It was just sent to the Transportation Committee. That is a bill to create a 4th casino district in the state of Massachusetts that would require a resort, not a slot parlor style, not like the Nash up in Nashua either, but a minimum 70-acre full resort casino to qualify under that bill.
Steve's
I know.
taking his positions.
He's quitting tomorrow.
Oh, man, it's past my bedtime.
But I mean, that's before the Transportation Committee now. That is, and it would limit, if that goes through, it limits the municipalities that could build it, which are Fitchburg, Leominster, Lunenburg, and 1 or 2 others. Of the towns that are named, the ones that could actually support it with appropriate rail and highway connections would be Leominster, in my estimation, Leominster and Lunenburg. I'm about to get like 1,000 emails after making this statement, I'm pretty sure. But I think that where what's the name of the economic development plan put together by the chamber?
SEDS.
One Central Mass, is that it?
Oh.
Whatever, the big study they did, and they identified the 4 areas of growth, which was smart manufacturing, distribution warehouses, agro-tourism, like outdoor tourism, and one other I forget. And basically, the two that we can use that would be appropriate for Lunenburg are the distribution facilities, the Lunenburg, not Lunenburg Crossing, the warehouse that was just here, and tourism. I mean, because the others aren't good for us developmentally. And I could wax poetic about where I think that might work or everything else, but I just want to put that on the radar because at some point, if that bill passes, I don't know how much work you do before a bill passes. I don't know how much you do after. I don't know how much this board is interested in.
I got a cartoon I'll send you.
What's that?
Said I got a cartoon I'll send you about bills.
Oh, okay.
How much work you do before they pass.
Please. But I want to put that out there. I don't know where that would fall on this plan, and there would be discussion if that's the direction we wanted to even look. But I think there's an argument to be made that it could bring a lot of the a lot of commercial development to town in a much more rapid way than we might otherwise be able to get it, and that could be very good for our tax rolls. And because I know this is a public meeting and people are listening, I want to be clear, I am only even suggesting this because I can conceive of ways to do it that do not impact the character of our town, because I am not willing to lose Lunenburg in order to save Lunenburg. So I want to put that concept out there. I don't know what that looks like action-wise.
So for this current year, I've got rewrite the inclusionary zoning bylaw, senior housing, minor site plan review, cluster by right. I'm going to start taking a look at the architectural preservation district versus form-based code. And I will have at least first cuts for you to review by our June meeting on all of these, except the architectural preservation form-based code thing.
We typically lose 1 or 2 meetings during the summer.
Well, we'll fit it in where we can.
Yeah, no, I realize I should put that on your radar. We haven't always, but it's not uncommon to have 1 or 2 meetings we can't quite get sufficient.
For one of your April meetings, I'm going to try to get you a revised fee schedule that we can talk about. But
Here's your microphone. Thank you.
So,
Reminder.
So I'm going to try to get you a revised schedule that we can start kicking around at one of your April meetings. But for the 4 zoning amendments that I want to work on for between now and next annual town meeting would be inclusionary zoning, senior housing, minor site plan review, and cluster by right versus traditional subdivision by special permit. Are we good?
I like it.
Okay. All I got.
All right, I am going back. I can have 2 monitors open and still have not enough space. I'm honestly impressed. It would help if I had the
Committee report.
Yep, there we are. Is there anything big and interesting from other communities we want to know about? Okay, not surprising. Yep, committee reports, master plan steering committee, well, yes.
Yeah.
Open space committee.
I addressed everything for the open space committee in our first right of refusal.
Making progress on growing wings?
Yes. There's been some more discussion on that, and hopefully we can keep moving forward and get the board to stand on its own, or the committee.
Love it. Municipal Building Design Committee. That committee has, at the behest of the town manager and the select board, shifted purpose somewhat. Not huge, but it is no longer the assumed purpose of that committee that we will be reusing this building and Ritter.
Thank God.
That we are, I'm deeply appreciative for that guidance from them. But that we should be identifying the needs of of town government and figuring out what will work best in a cost-effective manner. There's going to be some hard discussions coming up within this committee. I encourage members of the public to voice their opinion. And I encourage that, I want to be clear, if you're out there and you think, but my opinion is kind of like, I don't care, that's actually something the committee needs to hear. Because all of us on that committee, myself included, are making a lot of assumptions about what the people of the town want. And I'm not convinced any of us are fully cognizant and aware of what the people of the town want. Or if we're just parroting what 5 people said at town meeting, and since it was at town meeting, we're assuming that was a broader base thing. So I would encourage people to attend meetings and voice it, write emails and send it to members of the committee to be shared with the committee, that works too, but get your opinions known if you have them. And if you don't have an opinion, that's actually worth hearing right now. Because that would tell us there might be more options, that we might be able to look more freely. Capital Planning Committee was supposed to meet, was potentially going to meet last week, but budget things haven't been ready, just to look at the final capital numbers once we actually know them. But as we know, the town both has a severe budget challenge and has also, for a while, did not have enough budgeting staff. Economic Development Committee did not meet last Tuesday due to lack of quorum. Meeting was moved to,
The 24th.
thank you, the 24th. Stormwater Task Force.
We had a public info session 2 weeks back. We had, town level turnouts. But we've gotten some emails of people who want to come to meetings and say their piece, so clearly we've gotten some additional viewership after that. Things seem to be going, progressing well, and we'll be presenting at the next town meeting.
I apologize, I wanted to be there for that. No, that ended up being only
Only
remote?
Zoom, because it was
Okay.
during the snowstorm.
I just assumed it was canceled because of this, because town government
sure.
offices are canceled, so I didn't follow through on it. That's,
No, we made it Zoom only, and we got some turnout.
okay. Montechusett Regional Planning Commission.
We met 2 weeks ago, I think. I don't have any notes for that meeting. A lot of it was informational, approving travel for MRPC members. They're hiring another planner, so they're trying to get approvals for allocating money for that, etc. They're busy.
Well, good luck to them on finding a planner.
They have a lot, actually. A lot of people applying. They said like over 40, I think.
They're all recent college graduates.
I think so.
I
Okay,
know
there must
somebody who
be.
just put a job ad out for a planner.
Yeah, it's like 22-year-olds, and we'll see. Good luck.
Montechusett Joint Transportation Committee.
There was a meeting. I had a conflict, so I wasn't able to attend.
Fair enough. Minutes approval. We have minutes for August 20th, June 23rd, November 10th, December 15th. Those are all 2025. For 2026, we have January 12th and February 9th. And this is the set that, this is, some of those old ones were minutes that were written.
The June one.
The June one.
The rest of them I did.
Oh, I thought that was more of those in the past. You've been busy, Miss Lane,
She's getting it done. She's getting it done.
right?
Yeah.
This actually brings us current.
Wow.
Motion to approve minutes as submitted?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All willing to give a round of applause.
What she's not telling us is she fell asleep at her desk every day for the last month.
Meeting schedule. As a reminder to everyone in town, this board meets at 6 p.m. on our designated meeting days at Town Hall unless, here at the Bellata Meeting Room, unless stated otherwise. Upcoming meetings include March 23rd. Again, that is next Monday, this coming Monday. We don't normally meet 2 Mondays in a row. This is a scheduling difference. February, April 13th, and April 27th.
Just happy to be out of the Friday the 13th months.
Looking to the board for any other comment? Nope. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Good night.